Coming to you from the home of Franklin's finest, this is the APB Podcast. Here now is Franklin Police Public Information Manager, Max Winitz.
Yes, it is episode 4 of the APB Podcast. Hi there, everybody. Thank you, as always, for tuning in. This week, we've got something special for you, especially for those of you watching on the City of Franklin's YouTube channel. We're taking the show on the road, specifically the kayak access launch along Lewisburg Pike here in the city of Franklin. And why are we doing this? Well, we're discussing water safety with Sergeant Brandon McClellan. He is the team leader of our dive and swiftwater unit. He's going to be with us today discussing staying safe on our waterways here in Franklin, whether you plan on taking out your kayak, your canoe, your paddleboard, or if you plan on going swimming. We know many of you will be doing that in the weeks ahead, especially with this weekend being Memorial Day weekend. So we're looking forward to that conversation. Sergeant McClellan will also be speaking with us about the brand new Harpeth River Ready initiative. You won't want to miss that. That's coming up in just a few moments. But first, let's get to the news. As Memorial Day weekend approaches and local high schools prepare for graduation ceremonies, the Franklin Police Department is intensifying its efforts to prevent impaired driving and ensure public safety. Beginning this week and continuing through Memorial Day, additional officers will be on patrol citywide, specifically targeting impaired drivers. Officers will also have an increased presence around local high schools during graduation ceremonies. The Franklin Police Department encourages the community to use ride-sharing services, designated drivers, or public transportation. In other news, Franklin Police Chief Deb Faulkner was honored as one of the iconic women of Williamson at the second annual Ladies of Distinction Luncheon, which was hosted by Your Williamson at the factory in Franklin. This took place last week. Chief Faulkner was recognized alongside 7 other remarkable women for her leadership, dedication, and the lasting impact she continues to make in our community. And we say congratulations to Chief Faulkner. When we come back, a discussion on staying safe on our local waterways. Stay with us, everybody.
Are you ready to make a difference in your community? The Franklin Police Department is seeking dedicated, passionate individuals who want to protect and serve in the South's most charming town. As a member of our internationally accredited team, you'll be part of a dynamic, supportive department that values integrity, professionalism, and community engagement. Enjoy competitive benefits, career advancement opportunities, and the chance to truly impact the safety and well-being of our neighbors. For more information, visit franklintn.gov/joinfpd. That's franklintn.gov/joinfpd.
All right, welcome back, everybody. Max Winitz here, live on location for today's APB Podcast. I'm being joined by Sergeant Brandon McClellan, the team leader of our dive and swiftwater unit. Thanks so much for joining us here today out in front of the Harpeth here.
Absolutely. Glad to be here.
We're recording on Wednesday. This is the day after we had some significant rainfall Tuesday night. Don't know how well you can see if you're watching the YouTube video right now, but the Harpeth is extremely high. It is flowing extremely quickly. I think it's fair to say, Sarge, not an ideal day to be out on the water.
No, absolutely not. One of the things that most people don't consider is when we get heavy rainfall like that, the amount of debris that it builds up on the shores, the high level of water, they bring all that debris into the water. And if you're out there trying to swim, kayak, whatever it be, there could be logs, giant branches, there could be anything that you can't see on the surface could cause a danger to you.
Yeah, we've seen some pretty big branches, logs since we've been out here. A lot of debris going by right now. Before we talk more about water safety and the dive and the swiftwater unit, let's talk more about Brandon McClellan. Been around the Franklin Police Department since 2016, is that
2016,
correct?
Yes.
Tell me where you were before that.
Yeah, so prior to that, right out of high school, I joined the Navy. And I did 6 years active duty to that. And right after I got out, I decided to go to college and get my bachelor's degree and get a criminal justice bachelor's, and from there, I started my law enforcement career.
So the love of water, it's in your blood. It's been in your blood since early on.
Yes, absolutely. One of the things that I fell in love with while I was in the Navy is just being out on the water. So at my first duty station in Yorktown, Virginia, I was harbor security. So I spent pretty much every single day going out on a boat, on the water, and swimming as much as possible. And then my last duty station, I did 2 years in Guam, where I had some buddies that were Navy divers, and they got me into diving, and I woke up every day wanting to just go diving and going into work. So it was awesome.
So you loved what you did. Then you transition into local law enforcement. Tell me a little bit about that. Is that an easy segue, since you're going from one profession where you're serving and protecting into another profession where you're serving and protecting?
So it wasn't exactly the easiest transition, considering when you're 18 years old, you still have a lot of growing up to do. And the military helped me grow up a lot, but it was very different in the structure of the life that I had every single day. And transitioning back into the civilian world, you lose a lot of that structure. So you have to maintain that yourself. No one's telling you where to be and when to be there. You just you develop your own lifestyle, and mine maintained my love of the water.
Tell me about you come from a law enforcement family. Tell me a little bit about your grandfather, your father, and your brother.
Yeah, absolutely. So my younger brother, he works for Cheatham County Sheriff's Office. He's been doing that for a little longer than I have. I think his start time frame was around 2015 that he got in with them. And my dad, he retired from the Tennessee Highway Patrol. So he did a full career right around Dixon County in that district. And both of my grandfathers were law enforcement as well, including a captain with the Kokomo, Indiana Police Department.
Okay. But correct me if I'm wrong, growing up, you didn't see yourself getting into law enforcement, correct?
No. In fact, it was one of those things that my father would talk to us about his career and the things that he would go through and how much time that he would spend away from us, as a family. He missed a lot of holidays, and I think it wore on him. And when he would talk to us about it, he'd tell us to do something else, do something different with your life. But I also grew up seeing how much people respected him. There wasn't a restaurant that I could go to where someone didn't come up to my father and thank him for saving their life or impacting them in a positive way.
Well, what does he think now that his two boys got into a profession that he didn't necessarily want you to get into?
He couldn't be prouder. I mean, he's proud of all his sons and the career paths that they have chosen. And when he talks to people in other law enforcement aspects, that's all he does is he brags on us.
Have you ever thought about the possibility of one day down the road working alongside your brother? Would that be a dream of the both of yours?
Absolutely. Me and my younger brother were very similar in looks, and if you were to see one of us next to the other, you'd probably be a little confused about which agency that I was working for. With him knowing what I do in the swiftwater and the dive world, in Cheatham County, they have the Cumberland River that goes through there. And there's been several times where we have the opportunity to be able to work together in that aspect. So his department has our information, and they know that we're available if needed.
Gotcha. So you've been with the department now since 2016, as we mentioned earlier. You've been with the dive team, Swiftwater team, that entire time?
So it wasn't until after I was hired that I found out that they even had a dive team. There wasn't anything that initially attracted me. The beautiful city is what attracted me to this. But it wasn't until after I joined that I found out. And from that point forward, I made it my mission to join the dive team. And from that point, I think it was within my first year. So around the end of 2017, the beginning of 2018.
And just for you to find that out after you already started, obviously coming from the Navy, I imagine that was a pleasant surprise.
Yes, absolutely, because I got out not knowing what I was going to do for this. I had done recreational diving for so long and loved it, but knowing that I could also use that in the public safety world, that's awesome. because you don't think about that aspect. I got into law enforcement, and I wanted to get out there and help people while out on patrol and that aspect. But you don't know where else your skills are gonna come into play. And it's like it came back full circle from my diving world.
We're almost 10 years into your career here at FPD. What is it about this department in the city that stands out that you enjoy so much?
Yeah, so when I look at all the different versatility that the department has, I think that's one of my favorite things, because it's not just about having patrol. We have all these different specialized units, teams, and people that have the various expertise. It looks like every time that somebody finds a problem that an initiative has came up with, a team's come up with some kind of solution for that problem.
So let's talk a little bit more about water safety. Memorial Day weekend is coming up, kind of the unofficial start to summer, the time of year, though, that a lot of people start to break out the kayaks, the canoes. How geared up are you all on the Dive Swiftwater unit?
Yeah, absolutely. So we train every single month, and then during the summer months, we train 2 times a month. And my team is trained to always carry around rapid response gear. So anytime that we're out on patrol, anytime that a call goes out for any type of water rescue, our team is able to immediately deploy to that area and have the necessary equipment to be able to help out.
What are the issues you come across mostly year after year, not just on the Harpeth, but any body of water where somebody's either swimming or kayaking, canoeing? What's really problematic?
Inexperience and overconfidence. That is anytime that we look at any situation, it could have, not everyone, but a lot of it could have been avoided by taking the time to prepare with the proper safety equipment, or just making a proper safety plan prior to launching to go kayaking for the day. Notifying people where you're going to be at, what time that you're expected to be back. That's huge, especially it gives us a leg up in the event that somebody hasn't returned back within that time frame, that they already have that information readily available for us when they call us.
Prior to this interview, we saw a couple of kayakers, probably teenagers, not wearing PDF or PFDs, personal flotation devices. And I was looking at you and you just kind of shook your head. That's an issue too. Lots of people just don't want to wear life preservers.
Absolutely. And there's really just no good excuse for it. I mean, the treacherous waters that you're getting into sometimes, especially today like today. I mean, we've seen no less than 10 trees go by. If they're to run across that in their kayak and they're not wearing that flotation device, they tip over. They're not able to get back up easily into the kayak. Their next option is to get to the shore the best that they can, and you don't know what's along the shore in that instance.
What are some of the noteworthy sort of headline-making incidents that you've been involved with during your time with this team that you're very proud of?
So in 2018, right after the team initially got our Swiftwater certifications, we were called by Tennessee Task Force 2 to join up to go to the Carolinas for Hurricane Florence. And that was right at the gate using the training that we had just received. It was very fresh with us. We deployed out there in rescue crafts very similar to the ones that we're on. And we were given to neighborhoods that were flooded, and we went out there. People were sitting on their roofs waiting to be rescued because they did not leave their properties when they still had the time to. So that was one of them. Just within the last year, we helped out Hendersonville. We were called to go search culverts underneath the roadways while diving in the streets, and also their river waterways as well, to help with the Sebastian Rogers missing person case. And then also in Williamson County, there was a plane crash, and debris had fallen into bodies of water, and we were contacted and located several key elements of that plane.
Going back to Florence, though, just how does it, in retrospect, how does that make you feel knowing that you played a role in saving lives?
That's you get into this job and that becomes such a number one priority in your life. You just want to help people, and to be able to use that water expertise that I had, it was amazing. And we knew that we were going into such a dangerous area, and you never want to get to the point where part of your job is solely based off of just saving people. But in that instance, we knew what we were going to be doing out there, and it's truly amazing that we got to have that.
Speaking of saving lives, this week we started the Harpeth River Ready initiative, your baby. Talk to me a little bit about that and sort of how you got the idea and what the overall goal is.
Yeah, absolutely. So technology is the future. That's just the way it is. And technology is at everybody's fingertips nowadays. So I got the idea from the back of our patrol units. We have QR codes. And if you scan the back of those units, the QR codes, it'll lead you to the City of Franklin webpage that'll gives you all types of information, including applications and what overall capabilities that our department has. So I thought of that, and why couldn't we use that in a water rescue aspect? So developed a sign where the sign would have our rescue numbers and have that QR code. So all somebody has to do is on the day that they show up to the Harpeth River at any of our designated canoe or kayak launches, they pull out their phone, they scan that QR code, it'll take them directly to a web page that's designed strictly for water safety. It has everything from water safety videos. It's got all necessary equipment that you would need to ultimately do kayaking, swimming, anything safely out in the Harpeth River. And and it has various sites on it that include you to the National Weather Service. So you can pre-plan your day. What does the weather look like? It may be a beautiful day when you launch, but what does it look like in 6 hours when you're going to be exiting? At that point, is it going to be severe thunderstorms? So it'll give you your forecast and also the USGS, where you can get all the current water tables, what the current water level is, what the volume, what the speed is of the water.
You said you did some press on this earlier in the week, and you said during an interview something that really stood out, that if one person scans that QR code, gets into trouble on the river, and knows what to do as a result of what they saw on that webpage, it's a good day for you.
Absolutely. When you come up with an idea and you see it formulate into the awesome plan that it turned into, all the people help building the signs, everybody helping build the website, if that one person scans that QR code and is like, I don't have a PFD, and they change their plan and get one, if it saves one life, then all that hard work, every hour that you put into it, it was worth it.
And just finally, Brandon, any other advice you have for folks who are inevitably going to be coming out this weekend and the weeks ahead because the weather's getting hot? What else you want people to know about staying safe on our bodies of water here in Franklin?
Just be prepared. I mean, when it all boils down to, have the proper safety equipment to get out there and enjoy the water, because the same people that know where you're going, they're the same people that want you to come home at the end of the day.
And I know it's ideal, it's vital. People, because I know you find lost cell phones all the time, but people need to buy some sort of protective case. Even a Ziploc bag may work to keep your phone safe?
Absolutely. The bare minimum, a Ziploc bag can help out in this. It's enough to help keep your items dry. We do recommend getting a dry bag. They're very inexpensive, but a dry bag, you're going to attach it to your kayak or your canoe, put all your personal items in there, your cell phone, your wallet, any other important information that you have. And if anything happens, you tip over, which a lot of people tip over. It's bound to happen, especially when you're out just goofing off. But we want to make sure that those items are still intact and operational in an actual emergency.
Hydration too. Tell me about that. I know that's incredibly important to stay hydrated when you're out on the river here.
Absolutely. People don't take into the long time that they're going to be out on the river. They may take a smaller bottle of water that they grab from the gas station, but in the event if they drink that early on within their first hour, if they get dehydrated, that affects everything. Being dehydrated affects your physical abilities. It affects your mental capabilities. You want to make sure that you stay properly hydrated, and that way you can avoid a medical emergency.
All right, that's great advice. Sergeant Brandon McClellan, thank you very much for your time. Hopefully this interview will save some lives as well. So we're grateful for you sitting down with us today. We are grateful for you watching and or listening to the podcast. This was episode 4 already, hard to believe. heed the advice from Sergeant McClellan if you plan on making a trip out to one of our bodies of water here in the city of Franklin. That's going to do it. Thank you again. Thanks for tuning in. We will see you next time. Stay safe, everybody.